Hi everybody, my name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom in Food, and though I may not be showing you what I eat every day, you can trust and believe that it's low carb, high fat, leaning towards keto, sometimes more carbs than a strict keto person would have. But trust and believe that I like to walk the walk that I talk. Question, here it is, topic of the day. Aren't you excited? Can you imagine what it could be? It is, are you a nibbler? Were you a nibbler before? Is this something that you have gotten over, have worked on, or have come to see that, this could get me into trouble? What do I mean by being a nibbler? Well, it means that when you're making something, you take a little spoonful, you take a little bite of, you take a little sliver of, and test it along the way. Or you take something that's on the top of the counter that really doesn't have your name on it ever, and you start evening it out. I remember I had this tiny little friend, and gosh, she was tiny, and she was a nibbler. Some people are just blessed with metabolisms, aren't they? And so she would start slivering away at this something on the counter, evening it up, like somebody's going to come in the house and check to make sure, with the plum thing, those things for, oh my. And then I remember other people that even making a salad, they're nibbling along the way. And I've been around people that have made something, and by the time they get to the meal, they're totally stuffed because they nibbled all along the way. Mindless nibbling, not even fun nibbling where you even know what you're eating. It just pops into the mouth. Why? Because it's a habit. And you probably weren't even aware that it's a habit. Unless maybe somebody or something, made your brain say, maybe this isn't one of those good behaviors to keep doing. Maybe it's not a good idea to be measuring out my half an ounce of nuts and popping 4 macadamias while I'm doing that didn't get weighed, that don't count, at 10 o'clock in the morning to have at 2 in the afternoon. You put them in your little dish to have later, and those things just popped in your mouth. Or you don't even realize that you're doing it, and so, it's still on the tracker, it still looks like a half an ounce, but you really had a second half an ounce and didn't even know that you ate it. Being a nibbler without the awareness that you're even a nibbler. Even making a salad. It may look innocent that you're eating a baby carrot, but you're still having something on the down low that is in between meals, perhaps. Not a good idea. And not tracked, even if it's just right? You got to be careful of the just us. Now a nut will have a tremendous more amount of calories than a carrot or a little piece of celery or a little piece of green pepper that you're putting in something, but it's still the something. It's still that habit. And that's what we talk a lot about here, are the habits. And, recently I was sharing about my gum habit that I didn't even realize was a habit. I thought it was a better bad choice, a BBC. And we talk about BBCs here all the time. And so today my BBCs are another glass of lemon water or some sort of black tea. Sometimes I do have tea with heavy whipping cream and Zyla, and I put them in the NutriBullet and kind of blend them all up. But there's other times where I'm having just a liquid in my hand, bone broth, which has, calories and grams of fat and everything else. But it's tracked and it's put in. But it's the mindless nibbling that we're talking about here today. Are you doing holiday baking for people and keeping up the old good front that I can do this in safety? And say they involve things like, Hershey's Kisses plopped on a peanut butter cookie, and you think you can have one because you can, because you're a nibbler and you kind of can do it, and then you kind of think, well, I'll track it, and then it's on the tracker, and then the leftovers for the family, the ones that aren't in the pretty little bags with the bow, are still there, and and the smell of the cookie is wafting through the house. Sometimes we're kind of fragile, and we don't need to put up that good front. It's enough that when we go out, we've got these temptations, like the sort of menus that have the pictures all over them. Guaranteed, if you're in a place that has pictures of what you're ordering all over it, it's not going to work out in your favor. Because they know that. They are masters at the menu and the marketing. So you need to be careful of that and nibbling off of somebody else's plate. There should be a something that comes down like this steel wall that like your fork is hitting instead of hitting their plate, even if it's with permission from that person, So nibbling is still a habit that you might want to be able to look at and adjust. And that happened to me with OA in the 70s. So we are talking 40-something years ago. And I knew that I was a nibbler. And I knew that I ate standing up. And so standing up, being a nibbler, is like appetizer time at some sort of event. And I had to knock it off. And rather than dance with the devil and say, well, I can have it as long as it's only, that's where I always get into trouble. When I start making deals with the item or the amount, I know I'm in that territory. I'm at the playground, and there is a very slippery slide into binging. And not the all-out binging where you have, whipped cream in your hair, Dorito crumbs in your hair from sticking your head in the bag, or sticking your head in the Cool Whip tub. No, I'm talking about the sort of binge that could be 5, 6, 7, 800 calories while you stand and talk to people, and you have your little plate, and you keep taking what they come walking by with and bargaining with it. The way that I had to learn how to handle that, and just for me, is no thank you. So there's no little appetizer plate. There's no little things with toothpicks that I have while I'm talking to people. I get my low to no calorie beverage, which for me today would be like a soda water with 2 lemons in it. And I hold on to that like I need 2 hands. I get a napkin and I wrap around it for the sweat of the glass, and that's it. And the one hand that's free is not so I can pop an appetizer, pop a nibble. There's no nibble for me today that's innocent. And I had to learn that. But I had to want to learn it first. And I had to realize that I wanted to learn it before that. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into a bad habit that you might not even know. And if you live alone or you're not hanging out with a gal pal that's watching your behaviors, you could be doing things that you don't even know is a bad behavior. It takes a long time to get to, oh, you mean tearing? I mean, I remember, those carefree, out of the house, in the apartment days with buddies where the deal was, somebody would be designated to go out and pick up the Chinese food, pick up the pizza, and people would break into those boxes and containers and start shoveling it in on their way home from the drive. And that was just, oh my God, that was just a no-no back then. And so that's a nibble. And so instead of waiting until you got it home, so you might not even know that you're doing something like this. Or, sorry, I even forgot the obvious. You go through the drive-through and you've eaten half of the French fries before you've gotten to the place where you're going to open up your burger and start having it. Do you even realize that you have those kind of habits? Well, hopefully you're not having the burgers and fries through the drive-through. You might be having a keto burger, which is wrapped in romaine lettuce, but you're not having the side of fries and the side of this and the side of that come with it. No extra charge. Here's our treat for you. You might not be having that. Hopefully you're not. And so hopefully even nibbling harmless little veggies is still practicing the habit. We haven't done a nighttime eating video in a long, long time. That's definitely due. But switching from eating all of those carbagey treats after dinner to switching it to cucumbers and carrots is still allowing the nighttime eating habit to continue. And so for me, once again, it was the cold turkey. I'm not having carrots and cucumbers instead of having my Friendly's ice cream with all the candy on top. I'm not. It's like the cold turkey. It's the habit that I'm stopping dead in its track. Cold turkey. And yes, after a few days, it's not as powerful. It's not there. I don't want to cave, because caving means you just have to start all over again. And you don't want to start all over again with a bad habit, do you? No, it's harder and harder getting back on the horse of abstinence from bad behaviors, bad food behaviors, the second, third, 50th time. How do you and I both know this? Because we're here today. And how many food plans, how many meetings have we gone to, how many books have we read where, it talks about things. And this is the fine-tuning, getting to those bad behavior traits. It makes your abstinence of food that much more solid. It makes your head more engaged with your whole body, and it gives you that momentum and the motivation to do it all again the next day. So for me, a lot of the bad behaviors got stopped cold turkey. Cold turkey. It's the only way that I could go for me. And the pain, it was the Band-Aid theory, right? It's the rip it off and have a few minutes of discomfort and the sting of it, or the slowly rip it off where you don't even know you're doing it, and it takes a couple of weeks. I didn't wean off a lot of my bad habits. I stopped them dead in their tracks. And maybe I'm lucky that way. I guess maybe it might be part of my discipline and structure, but I know that it works. And when that woman was asking me the other day about giving up sugar cold turkey, I said, yeah. I mean, at least that's what worked for me. No weaning. No weaning of a drug like that. I could never wean off of booze or cigarettes. It was cold turkey, just like sugar and wheat. And then the grains came after, because they're so similar to the rest of the wheat part, right? Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope that you have nibbling as something that you used to do, and that you understand now the difference. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. Love your comments and feedback. Have a grand day. Bye-bye for now.